Shalom, family. How's everyone? Hope this message finds you well. I wanted to upload a quick video because I've had some questions about patriarchy and as well as some questions about honoring our father and our mother. So I thought that it would be a good way for me to just address some things quickly, hit it and go, not revealing who asked me those questions, but it's for the benefit of the whole body. So that being said, I definitely give all honor and praise to the Most High Yah. I thank him for being a mighty Elohim that sent his son into the earth to be the salvation for his people. Now, that being said, just that opening prologue is an example of patriarchy, where a father has an heir that goes and does exactly what that father has ordered him to do. There came a point in my life that because of who I was and the, I would even say the love that I had for my father, that several things just unlocked in me. And then the father allowed me to be in relationship, in covenant relationship with the Honorable Dr. Thomas Murray, who further just everything expanded. So if you want to know how I've gotten to the point that I am now, is because of advancement of looking to one that is greater, as well as through prayer and fasting and doing everything within my power to line up with the text. So when the Father told us to honor our father and our mother, he did not say honor your mother and your father. That's out of order. He said it the way that he said it for a reason. He said, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the earth. It's not contingent upon what they do for you. If they were a good parent, bad parent, is not contingent upon any of those things. The contingency and the condition is placed on the child. You honor them regardless, unconditionally honor them. Give them a place of esteem in your life. And by you doing that, the Father will mark you for being a potential candidate for his spirit to house and to dwell upon. And that transitions right into patriarchy. I put out a post and some people asked me some questions about what it meant. The post said that patriarchy is the foundation of nation building, of healthy marriages, healthy children, as well as building generational wealth. Anyone that studies Torah can see that example within the text. Typically on these type of videos, I don't pull out a bunch of scripture. I'm talking to you. If you know the word, you hear the word. You know what I mean? I don't have to quote chapter and verse. I think that it's not necessary at this point in the conversation. And, you know, maybe in a private setting, or if I was actually like doing a teaching, I may consider doing that. But right now, this is a quick Q&A. So now, how is patriarchy the foundation for nation building? Let's look at who we are. Who are we? We are Israel. Israel is not just a nation. Israel is one man. One man that was multiplied, that had 12 sons and a daughter. Through that one man, the Father used him and expanded him exponentially, which is the model. So it did not start with Yaakov. It did not start with Jacob. We got to go before Jacob. We can go back to Isaac. Before Isaac, we can go back to Abraham. And even before Abraham, we can go back to Noah. Or let's just go back to the very beginning, to Adam. But the Father chooses a man that he can place his spirit upon, then expand that man, and the Father have uh, access to that man so that he can dwell in him, move in him, and express his righteous acts in the earth through a man. Um, Even if we go to, to Noah, the scripture says how Noah found grace in the eyes of Yah. He found grace. Noah was a man. So the presumption with patriarchy, family, patriarchy presumes that, and from the cultural context, presumes and assumes that that man has a wife, already has a wife, because from a righteous perspective, you did not have seed or a son unless you had a wife. Okay. And that wife was in alignment with that man. Even if we consider Noah, Noah's wife was not even mentioned in the text, but she was so one with him. She produced for him, had 3 sons for him. I'm sure that she had her roles and her responsibilities with, now imagine the way that those sons had to be processed by this woman in order for them to love Noah in a way to help him build this ark, because Noah was a false prophet for 120 years. People look at him crazy, absolutely insane. It's never rained before, yet you're saying it was going to rain. And who you think was helping Noah cut down all this gopher wood? Who you think was helping him possibly make the pins and making, pitching the upper decks and the lower decks? Who you think was helping Noah do that? His sons. And those sons had to be, I say, processed and cultivated, nurtured in a way by the loving hand of a woman, where those sons would not rebel. Because if that wife does not instill in them the love of their father, rebellion could happen. The role of that woman, of that matriarch, is for her to tell that son who he belongs to. Tell him. They always say, who's my daddy? Where's my daddy? That is the matriarch. That's the mother's job, to tell the son who their father is, to tell the daughter who their father is. Excuse me. But then it's the father's job to claim that seed, to say, yes, you are mine, and now I'm going to assist you in being like me and helping you get to the next stage in your life. That's the beauty and the presumption of patriarchy. Let's move forward. Let's go to Abraham, a great son, loved his father. You read the book of Jasher. You read how Terah was potentially an idol worshiper. Abraham never dishonored his father, never railed on his father. Asked him some pretty, spicy questions, but it was still in a respectful manner. See, you don't have to have every opinion that's parallel to your father that may not be walking in 100% righteousness. But you still have to honor him. You can never disrespect, devalue him, because no matter what he does wrong, he got you here. You could never be greater than him when literally this man sat on you for X amount of years. We don't know. So if he didn't do anything else, you ought to thank the Father that he got you here. I thank the Most High for my fathers. I am the son of William, who was the son of Daniel, who was the son of Freeman, who was the son of George. I thank him for the womb that I came through. My mother is so special to me, so near and dear. I'm thankful beyond measure. I talk to him almost every day. Tell him I love him. Tell him I'm thankful to have come through you to do my assignment in the earth. But you can't do that assignment. You can't speak on patriarchy. You cannot speak on family matters if you have a grudge against your father or against your mother. You're not authorized in this area. Now, you do have the power. You got the power to speak to whatever, to whoever, whenever. But that authority will be missing because you have this judgment against your father, this judgment against your mother, that some kind of way they have wronged me. And this is the way of the Most High, that if he placed patriarchy as the paradigm in which he wanted to express himself and a righteous model in the earth. So when you go against that structure, by default, you go against him. I'm going to say that again. When you go against that structure, you go against him. When you read the scriptures, all you see is the beautiful dynamic of a father looking out for, protecting, guiding, directing, loving, caring, nurturing, chastising, correcting his son. Israel was my first son. It's my firstborn son. Look at it. That's the text. So he's leading and guiding a people group, just as he is today. But it starts with one man in the family. We look at Sarah. Sarah was so in love with Abraham. She understood that she had not been able to produce for him. So what did she do? She said, you know what? This man needs to be multiplied. The promise of the Father has gone out. It may not come through me, so it can come through my handmaid. Went through Hagar. She commissioned her handmaid to go sleep with Abraham because she knew that Hagar belongs to me. So whatever comes from Hagar belongs to me. That's going to be my son. And some people, they have they find fault with that. See, look, that's an example of a failure. See, that wasn't of the Most High. Who the hell are you to say what is and is not of the Most High? Slow it down. These things that were written for our learning. When did you get the mind of the Father in captivity to say what is the perfect will of Yah and the permissive will? Where is that? That's not a Hebraic thought. That is not how Israelites think. That's Greek thought. So when I hear people advocate for that, I know that you've been penetrated by Greek thought. Our ancestors did not think like that. So you have to let this mind be in you, which is also in Hamashiach. He didn't think like that. Well, you know, she shouldn't have done it. Man, stop it. That's above your station. Stay in your lane. Determine what you should be doing at this stage. Because she was so in love with her husband that she wanted to multiply him, even if it did not come through her womb. And that's not an abstract or isolated incident. Let's jump forward a couple generations. Let's look at Jacob. Jacob had two wives, Rebecca and Rachel and Leah. Both of them had handmaidens. They both gave their handmaidens to Jacob because they understood that the handmaidens belong to me. So whatever comes from her belongs to me. I want this man to be multiplied. He is so great. He's such a righteous man. I want more of him in the earth. Is that the mindset of the daughters of Zion today? And if not, are you really being a wife according to the text? Or are you bringing your own concepts of what it means to be a wife, to be married, to say what you will and what you won't do, how something is going to happen and how it is not going to happen? That is another example of Greek thought. You're not thinking, moving, or operating like an Israelite woman, like a daughter of Zion. You're not. You may be a work in progress. Hallelujah. Aren't we all? But when you hear people advocate for certain things, to speak so boldly about what they will and won't do, it's like, oh man, that is scary to me. That lets me know that you are not ready to occupy the office of a wife. When I hear men say certain things, that lets me know you are not ready to occupy the office of an ish in Hebrew, or a husband, because your mindset isn't that of our ancestors. Now, people are free to do whatever they want to do. I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I'm just purely explaining from the Israelite tradition what it meant, and then finding parallels within the text so that you find examples of the very things that I'm citing. So with that patriarchal element, we see nation building. We see healthy, stable, durable marriages. Some were, according to the family structure, some had one wife, some had multiple wives. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But what I can say is those that do condemn that, please be careful. Please reconsider. Please. Please. Because you are then judging your fathers. You're breaking the fifth commandment. You're not honoring them. You're saying that what they did may have been based on lust, a hot moment. Stop. You are dishonoring your father. And when you dishonor your father, how can the Most High honor you when you came from them? He would be denying himself if he authorized you to say the things that you're saying. Just be careful, please. There's consequences. A man is snared by the words of his mouth. There is life and death in the power of your tongue. Please be careful. Stop thinking from an American, Western, Euro, Gentile perspective. Think like those that lived during the time, because the text was written to men, to Israelite men, with the understanding that they would communicate these truisms to their wife and to their sons. That is the only way that it can be passed down from generation to generation. It didn't go from generation to generation in a synagogue, in an assembly. No, it's within your lineage. That's how the Father wants to expand the nation. I'm telling, the reason why these conversations are coming up more and more is because it's time, family. It's time. A lot of you have asked, I'm an Israelite. Now what? I know who I am. Now what? The what is take control. As if you're a man and you're married, you need to begin to take control of your family. And when I say control, I don't mean where you're commanding and, making demands of people. Like, you better do this, you better do that. That's not the way that our ancestors had to do it. You ought to be in such a place of shalom and have modeled or exemplified the righteous character and nature of the Heavenly Father, where those that serve you have no problem doing it. They do it willingly, not begrudging. Now, I understand that oftentimes the man, that patriarch, you may have been married, you came into this tradition, you gained greater understanding and insight, and it's difficult for you to get your wife and your children to follow along after you. I have many conversations with brothers that are struggling right now, and I get it. My thing is, I encourage you to continue to pray, continue to be patient with them. It took you quite some time to get it. It may take them a little bit of time, but ultimately, you will see by their behavior who they belong to. If they belong to you, if they belong, or if they belong to the streets, they belong to the dominant society. I said something the other day in regards to marriage that a lot of people that say that they have awakened to greater truth, they still hold on to the same concepts of marriage as the dominant culture. You know, a lot of our sisters think that marriage is the same thing and they operate the same way as baby, give me a woman. Who's a woman that may be advocating for marriage from a secular standpoint? Beyonce. I don't know. Who else? Give me somebody else.
A woman advocating for marriage from a secular standpoint.
Yeah.
That's enough for
Oh,
me.
women. Oh, Jada Pinkett. Jada Pinkett.
Oh, well, she's advocating for being the husband herself.
My wife, she's over there off camera. But if you as a conscious Israelite woman, your concepts run parallel to those in the dominant culture or that are living, you know, the remnant of slave culture, have you really been born again? Have you truly been converted? You should think more like Sarah. You should think more like Rebecca. You should think more like Rachel. You should think more like Leah than you think like those in a dominant culture. Our men, if you're thinking about marriage in the same way that Creflo Dollar, why him? He follows a different understanding. I'm not saying that that is right or wrong. I'm saying that it's not the tradition of our fathers. What he's advocating for, what Joel Osteen is advocating for, it's different. If you think like them, you do not have the mind of Yah. I can prove it. I can prove it. They think differently. You could just ask them, well, what is adultery? And they flub, they flutter, they stutter. They can't. Oh, it's a man who cheats on his wife. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're not studied enough. Stop it. Anyway, I'm moving on. So that is the reason, the way that if we look back at the text, if we study the life of Jacob, if we study the life of Abraham, we study the life of Isaac. I don't want to forget that patriarch. Bless him. If we study the life of Noah, we see that the father always chooses a man. That man has a woman that is lockstep and key with him. I have that. I'm thankful for that. I honor Yah for that. That's the only way that I was able to get my sons to come back home. I had sons that were in full rebellion. When I say full rebellion, I mean full rebellion. Out there. And you know what I had to do? Let them go. Go ahead, take my hand off. Do your thing. It was hard. It took me, I shedded some tears, y'all. It's just a moment of transparency. It wasn't easy, but I knew that I had to do it the right way in order to get the right result. If my hand is on it, the Father's hand can't be on it. You got to take your hand off and let Him deal with it. So I was able to get my sons back. And now, you know, they're walking, moving, operating in Torah and following after the ways of their father. And I thank the Most High for that. So through patriarchy, you can see the whole nation building component. Many people just want to jump through or assume that it's going to come through assemblies. It's not. We don't find that in the text. I didn't say that they didn't have a place. that they weren't valuable. I didn't say that. But the birthing of the nation, it's not going to come through assemblies. It's going to come through patriarchs. Why do you think that, oh man, I'm going much longer than what I generally do. Jeremiah 29 gives us great instructions on how we should operate and move while we're in Babylon in captivity. I invite you to study that text, 4 through 9. Start there. Build houses, live in them, plant gardens, eat the fruit of it, get married, have daughters, have sons, betroth them, give your daughters husbands, give your sons wives, because the intentionality behind that is so that you are not diminished in captivity. The Father does not want the righteous seed to be diminished. He knew we were going to be under attack, knew that they would be trying to kill us. So what you got to do is multiply. I need righteous seed. I need to have my witness on the earth. Don't buy into the notions of how the world is overpopulated and the last thing we need is another mouth to feed. Don't buy into that. Don't believe, don't trust your enemies. Of course, they don't want you to multiply, but you need to do that. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to be done. If you're allowing your daughters to pick their boyfriends, to pick and to be picked over fathers, patriarchs, you are abdicating your authority. You are not keeping the instructions or following the pattern of the Most High. That's not our culture. You cannot find that in the text. It's a reason why it's conspicuously absent. It's a reason for that. It's because that's not how we lived and moved. Everybody wants to have nation building. Everybody wants to be the nation. But how are you going to have a nation if you don't have strong families? Strong families come together as groups with mutual interests, giving our daughters and marrying our sons together. We do that through covenants. A lot of you are afraid to even make covenants. I'm not going to tell you what covenant to make. But how can you be a man of Yah if you are scared of a covenant? Yeah, I've read the text. I know that it says don't make a vow quickly and don't be hasty to make covenants. I get it. But it did not say don't make them. How can you really be trustworthy? You can't even keep your word. You can't even make a covenant with another brother that you say that you love, that you say that you trust. Maybe I'll deal with that next, because that's where we're going. Are you who you say you are? Do you have the mind of the God, the Elohim that you say that you serve? Or do you still have the mind of the dominant system, the satanic thought system, global satanic thought system, as Imagina would say? Or do you have the mind of your ancestors? Wake up, people. I hope that answered those questions, because through patriarchy, that's it. That's all it is. You want to know how I know it's all it is? Because it's in the scriptures. It's everywhere. For Yah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Patriarchy. A father sends an heir. That heir was so obedient that he then inherits the kingdom of his father. Do you have an inheritance for your sons? Patriarchy. I could go on and on because I see it all throughout the book. It's there now. And I hope that you see it. If you do see it and you don't see it and you have some questions, reach out to me. My sincerest desire, my highest hope is to glorify the Most High, but to help men get themselves in order to where their families follow after them. Not telling you what to do. I don't tell anybody what to do. I try to share from the text, from my level of empiricism, being a young patriarch myself. But I couldn't do that unless I had those that are above me, men that are superior to me. And I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for the Honorable Dr. Murray. I'm thankful for Counselor Nabi. I'm thankful for Baba. I love these men. Man, they bless me. I wouldn't be where I am today without them. So you want to know how I got what I got? I got it from a man. And the text just opened up to me because now there's practical application of Torah. All right, family. Love y'all. May the Most High bless you. Elder Asa, love you. Shalom, shalom.